Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we will be talking about the most primitive yet the most popular concept of Java, and that is nothing but arrays. Now, we all know that arrays could be single dimensional arrays or multi-dimensional arrays, wherein a multi-dimensional array could be anything like a two-dimensional or more than a two-dimensional array like a three-dimensional array or a four-dimensional array. In this particular video, we will be primarily talking about the one-dimensional arrays. We will be talking about how to declare a one-dimensional array, what are the various ways of doing that. We will see how to assign values inside a one-dimensional array, and we will see how we can use or how can we display the values which are there in a one-dimensional array. Further, we will go ahead and see an example wherein we will see how a one-dimensional array is getting used in that particular example. So let's get started. So for declaring a one-dimensional array and using it in your code, what you need to do is, now there could be various ways in which you can do it. There are primarily two ways of doing it. You can say something like this. So let's say if I'm declaring an int array, I can say something like this. I can either say int array is equal, and a semicolon, or I can say int ARR and a semicolon. Now you might say, what is the difference between both of these? Let me say array 1 here and let me say array 2 here. Now you might have a question that what is the difference between the two? They look very similar to me. Now the difference comes when you are declaring multiple variables here. So if I say something like this, ARR of 3, okay, and if I say ARR of 4 here in this case, in my first case, ARR1 as well as ARR3 both are arrays. But in the second case, ARR2 is an array, but ARR4 is a normal integer variable. I can show you that here. I can say ARR3 is equals to new int of size 5, let's say, and this works fine. But if I start saying something like this, ARR4 equals to new int of size 9, say, this will throw an error. You can see here it says that you cannot convert an int into an integer. So this gives us an error. So as I said earlier, here if you are having a square bracket before the variables, then in that case everything that is written or declared after that becomes an array. But if I am putting an array after the variable name, only that particular variable becomes an array. So this is the difference. Okay. So for the timing, I'll comment this particular line. Okay. And comment the other declarations. So I'll comment this particular declaration and I'll just keep this. Okay. So now because I have declared ARR3 equals to new int 5, now this is how you declare a particular array. So you can say int a square bracket and the name of the array, and then you can say equals to new int and the size of the array. Now understand, you need to predefine the size of an array. You cannot leave this blank. That throws an error. You have to give a size here when you are defining the array. Now if I have to assign a value to it, I can say something like this. I'll have to say ARR3 of 0 as, let's say, I'm saying 15. Then I'm saying ARR3 of 1 as, let's say, 30. Let me put all multiples of 15. Then I can say ARR3 of 2 as, let's say, is equals to, let's say I'm saying 45. And now let me try to print. Now one way of printing this could be, you could just go ahead and print each of them using our sysout. Now you can say ARR3 of 0, ARR3 of 1, and you can have individual declarations. Another way of printing this is, you can have a for loop. So you can say for int I equals to 0, I less than the size of array. So I can say ARR3 dot length. Okay. So whatever its size, we will go 1 less because the index is starting from 0. And I say I plus plus. And I can print what? ARR3 of I. Now you must be wondering that I have initialized only the first 3 values of the array out of the 5 values, yet I'm trying to print it till the length. So how will this work? Will this not throw an error? So let's see if it throws an error or not. So if we try to run this, you can see it is getting printed. Okay, it is not throwing an exception because since arrays are objects in Java, if you are not initializing the values here for a valid memory location or a valid index, it will get initialized to 0. So everything in the beginning when you declare an array here, okay, gets initialized to 0. So if you do not reinitialize it to any other value, it will still remain to 0. So if I comment this whole part and try to run this, you can see this is still printing and it is showing 0. So all the values when you define an array will be initialized to 0. So when you reassign it to different values, you can see those values get printed. Okay, so that will not give us a problem. But the problem starts if you try to do something like this. So if I say system.out.println ARR of 5, this is going to be a problem. Because now I'm trying to access the 6th location. Understand the index of arrays start from 0. So if I'm trying to print ARR of 5, I'm actually trying to print a 6th location which is not available. The size of my array is 5. So the indexes or the locations which will be available will be from 0 to 4. So if I try to access the 5th index, which is the location 6, it will throw an exception. Let's see what exception it throws. So as you can see here, it is throwing a array index out of bound exception, that is 5. So it is going out of its bounds. Okay, so that is how it will throw an array. So this is a basic implementation of how arrays work. How do you declare them? So this you can see is we are defining an array here. Okay, then we are declaring it here with a value, and then we initialize the memory, different memory locations here and assign them different values, and then we access the array here and display its value. So this is how you have a basic array declaration. Now what we are going to do is we are going to see an example wherein we can use a one-dimensional array. So this is where I showed you the basic declaration and definition and how to access and how to display values of an array. We will see a specific example here now which will show us how to access an array or how to use an array. So let's see what that example is. So what I am going to show here as an example is I will take an array as an input from the user and we will be showing a running sum of this particular array. Now what do I exactly mean by the running sum of an array is something like this. If you can see this example, I am going to take an array as an input, say 1, 2, 3, 4. What I want as an output is 1, 3, 6 and 10. Now what exactly am I trying to do here? At the first location, basically what I want is at every location I want a sum of all the previous locations. So at location 1 it is going to be the number itself because I have nothing before that. At location 2 I'll have whatever is at location 2 plus whatever is at location 1. So it will be 1 plus 2. At third location I want a sum of 1 plus 2 plus 3. That is first, second and third location. And then at the last location a sum of all previous locations plus this particular location. So 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. Let's see one more example. Now the input is 1, 1, 1, 1. So the sum that I am going to obtain is 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. So it is going to be 1, then 1 plus 1, then 1 plus 1 plus 1, then 1 plus 1 plus 1, so on up to the last location. Similarly, here you can see this is an example wherein I have 3, 1, 2, 10 and 1. These are random numbers now and I am going to sum them up like this. You can see here as the explanation of how the whole thing is going to get summed. So let's go ahead and implement this example. So what I have done here is I have already created two classes here. One is a running sum class which will implement our actual logic for finding the running sum, and another which is going to be a test running sum class which will be testing that particular logic for us. So what we do here is in the running sum class we create a method. We say public an integer array and we say get running sum, and this will take an integer array as in. So we will be passing an integer array and finding the running sum, store it in another array and return it back. So what we do here is, firstly we declare an integer array. So we say integer array, let's say sums is equals to new int, and this particular array will be the size as same as the nums array. So we'll say nums dot length. Once this is done, what we need to do is we need to loop through this array using a for loop. So I'll say for int I is equals to 0, I less than nums dot length, okay, and I plus plus. Okay, what we are going to do further now, again understand, for implementing this logic there could be various ways in which you implement it. I am trying to implement it in the simplest possible yet a bit lengthy way of doing it. This can be simply also done. I'll show you once I show you this particular example. Then we can see what is the difference between the two ways. So I'll create one more for loop and I'll say int j equals to 0, and I want j to be less than or equal to I, because I want the sum of previous all numbers every time. So I'll go up to I every time and j plus plus. And what I'll do here is I'll be writing the sum. So I'll declare one more variable here inside this particular for loop to store the sum of all the locations. So I'll say int sum, which is initially set to 0. Then I'll say sum plus equals to nums of j and a semicolon. And once this whole loop is done, I'll say sums of I is the individual sum that we find for every location. So this will start from the first location. First time it will be 0. So when I say 0 plus nums of j, that is nums of 0, it will add the first location and store it in the sums variable. And because this is also 0, it will end in the first iteration itself. Similarly, it will go for all the iterations. And at the end of the for loop, I can say return and I can say sums array is what you need to return. So it will every time sum up the value of each location with all the previous locations and store it in a different array and return that particular sums array. Now, how do we test this particular code? So for that, we need to first create a scanner class so that we can take input. Scanner equals to new scanner, and this will have system.in. Okay. Then we also need to import, because scanner is not in the same package. I have mentioned this in all my previous videos, that why do I need to import a particular class. If you haven't seen my previous videos, I'll share the playlist here with you so that you can check out all my previous videos and learn various concepts of Java which I have shown in those examples. Okay, going further, we'll take an input. We'll ask the user what is going to be the size of the array. So we'll say please enter the size of numbers you want to sum. You want to find running sum of. Okay, so this is a little long statement, but yeah, this is what I want to write here. Then what I can do here is I can say int size is equals to sc dot next int and store it in this particular variable. Once I have got the size, I will declare an integer array nums which is going to be of the size. So I'll say new int and I'll say is of the size. Once this is done, we will take all the numbers as input that we want to find a running sum of. So I'll say sysout and I'll say please enter, then I'll say size and I'll say numbers. Now to take these numbers as input and store them in my array, I'll be using a for loop here. In case if you're not aware of what loops are or what looping statements are, you can check out this video wherein I'm talking about various looping statements, how they work, what are their syntaxes, and how to use them in your code. So you can check that out and understand the concept. So I'll say for int I equals to 0, I less than size I plus plus, and then inside this for loop I'll store it in the nums. So I'll say nums of I is equals to sc dot next int. So this will automatically store all the values at the various locations of the array. Okay. In case if you want to check out my other videos, what I have done in those videos, what concepts have I explained in those videos, you can check out my playlist here for those videos. Okay. Going further, what we do here is we will say we'll be creating an object of the running sum class. We'll say running sum rs is equals to new running sum, and then we will say rs dot get running sum. Okay. Now again we will have to import the running sum here. You can see it has automatically got imported here because it's into a different package. And what we can do here is we can store this in another array. We can say int sums is equals to this particular array that is returned, and then we can have a sysout statement. We can say running sum of the array is colon, and then we can use a for loop to print the running sum. So I can say for int again I equals to 0, I less than size I plus plus, and I can say sysout, but this time it is not going to be a println, it will be a print. So I can say sysout, and I can say sums of I plus a tab, so that they are separated from each other. So let's try to save this code and see how it works. So here it is asking me for a size of the number first. So let's try to input. So say I am entering a size of let's say 5, and it will then ask me to enter 5 numbers. So let's say I'm entering 3, then I'm entering 5, then I'm entering 7, then I'm entering 35, and then I'm entering 357. So let's see what it prints. So this is going to be my array, and it will print the sum. So the first value is 3, then I have 3 plus 5, that is 8, then I have 3 plus 5 plus 7, that is 15, and then so on 50 and 407. So a sum of all the values in the last equation. So this is how you can see an example of arrays here, and how you take input for an array even from the console, and how do you use it in your code, and how do you display the values of it. So this is it for today. Thank you for watching my video. Please like my videos if you like my content. Subscribe to my channel for more such interesting videos, and comment in the comment section below for your feedbacks and suggestions. Thank you for now. Bye bye.